Cool, so I'm straight into game 4 here on Submarine. Yes, best of 5, and as things stand, Ollie is 2 games, Matticus 1, having pulled one back in the last game. And you know, the last game was very similar for Matticus to game 2. So what made the difference? Because, you know, game 2 he didn't manage to get much done and lost the game. Game 3 on the other hand, he was successful, and it was a very, very similar build. The key difference really was a couple of things. There were more units on the map, so the push arrived that bit earlier for Matticus, and it also lined up nicely with the finishing of Combat Shield. If you are going to push, you know, if you're doing a very early rush, you don't have time for any upgrades, that's fine. If you're going to do some sort of timing attack, it's pretty common to try and get that to sync up with an upgrade finishing up. You know, most players will upgrade as the game goes on, and commonly those upgrades happen at a similar time. So if you know that you're going to be pushing out a timed attack, if you can get your upgrade to finish a little earlier than your opponents, it just gives you that edge in the fight and makes your units worth more than theirs, so that even an equal army supply or an equal army value, you will trade better than them, and that can make the difference, especially when your opponent has defender's advantage. So look at this. The worker comes in, gets to see everything. There are 3 barracks in production here. If you're Ollie, that has to worry you. You have to recognize this for what it is. This looks to be the sim build again, the triple barracks. If we see 1 tech lab and 2 reactors, that's definitely what it is. There's 1 gas, which is the right, just as I said, 1 gas, which I was just going to say is the right thing to do if you're playing this sort of build. You know, personally, I would have another barracks as well. I wouldn't bother with this gas. I'd concentrate on getting my mineral income up. You know, 1 gas is enough to constantly be producing marauders, and you'll find enough spare gas in the mix to get out the upgrades like Combat Shield as well. So few idle workers here, which Matticus can't really afford. Worker production has stopped. This probe eventually dies, but you know, Ollie knows what's up. If I am Matticus and I'd been planning this but had been scouted like that, knowing that my opponent knows exactly what's up, what I would do right now is expand and build a bunker, because if my opponent scouted it, I have to assume they're going to set up defensively to be able to deal with what's coming. So with them setting up defensively, my hope is that the money they're spending on defense is not money that they're spending on economy. Now, you know, it just goes to show you, if I was playing, I'd probably lose or something, because Ollie isn't reacting in that way at all. He's just building a single zealot. He's been and he's seen 3 barracks, and he hasn't actually bothered to build any sort of defensive structures whatsoever. No forge, no additional gateways to get out extra units, nothing like that. Sure, why would you? That does kind of does raise the question, why bother scouting? You know, I can't imagine what could be more conclusive than coming into your opponent's base, saying no expo whatsoever, 3 barracks coming down on 1 gas. You'd just be like, okay, there's about to be a world of Marines turning up on my doorstep. Let's drop a forge. Let's, as soon as the sub core finish, drop some shield batteries. Let's get extra gateways down, cut probe production, make sure you're going to be bulletproof, get a worker out in the middle of the map so that you see it coming. He's not done any of those things. So let's see what this time Matticus can get done. 3 marauders in the mix. You know, this looks like a relatively small force, but marauders pack such a punch. They are hefty little units, you know, so don't, just because they come out of a barracks, don't make no mistake, they are hard hitting. And if we look at the army supply here, it's 24 to 12. These zealots don't stand a chance. You know, a little bit of kiting would help, but ultimately he's only going to lose 2 marines here. I don't think the marauder's going to go down. The stalker will die very quickly to this, as you can see, so needs to get up for the high ground vision, but this game's over. And you know, Ollie lost this game. He threw it away. He had good information from his opponent's base. He saw, or at the very least should have inferred, exactly what was coming. You know, you see all those barracks what are you expecting? He's not building those barracks to build SCVs out of, is he? There's no expo, so you know something's coming across the map. And especially given that in the last 2 games, Matticus has pushed reasonably early with a force of Marine Marauder. I mean, to not set up defensively against this. Oh, finish the pylon, dude. Too late. Anyway, to not set up defensively against this is basically just throwing the game away. So all this income, all these workers, doesn't really matter. Even if he pulls them all, they all die. There isn't enough there to kill this stuff, and Matticus pulls another one back, and it looks like we are 2-2 and ready to go into the decider. How's about that, ladies and gentlemen? How's about that? Yeah, the worker's not actually on an attack move. They're just, I don't know what they're doing. They're just running away to be salty, to go and cry in the corner or something. I mean, Ollie's got a lot of minerals there. He could rebuild, but you know, it's a waste of time. You're not gonna get anything done by rebuilding somewhere else. You're still gonna lose the game. It's just going to take slightly longer for that to happen. So you know, I've already said my piece. Ollie threw the game away by ignoring the scouting information. If you're Matticus at this stage, you see what your opponent's done. He's run the workers out. You know the general direction. You don't need 30 Marines to kill pylons. You need, 3. So leave a handful of Marines back here to finish off these buildings and start spreading stuff out around the map. You know your opponent's got no fighting units. You know they've only got workers. So really you need to get this game shut down. The other thing you should be doing, you don't need any additional army. It's 39-0, so you drop and expand just in case. You start teching up. You drop your factory. You drop your engineering bay, etc. No, it really isn't. I'd have liked him to have just left a couple of units behind to clean this stuff up. I mean, there's a worker here, could potentially drop a nexus and just be really obnoxious. But in general, what you do when a player gets salty and doesn't leave a game is you just spread your stuff out. You just make sure you've got a unit on every mineral patch so that they can't expand and use up those minerals. But anyway, it is the GG and it is 2-all.